The following podcast is a next level production.
Every night, I dream the same dream. And then the nightmare begins.
Hey, panelers, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this is going to be a spoiler-full podcast about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that came out not too long ago, obviously, but a lot of people have been discussing about this movie for, I don't know, weeks at this point, because it's been out a couple of weeks. I got to see it when if you guys didn't listen to the last podcast, but the last podcast that we put out, or actually the episode that I released about the Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash is when I actually did get to see it, and I saw it after that as well. So I had time in between the Stash and the Q&A, so I went to the Atlantic Highlands movie theater that was there that Kevin Smith went to like 2 days before to go see Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness, and I got to see it then. And Steve, you've watched it a couple of times as well, right?
Yes. Yeah, I have Regal Unlimited, so I was able to go to my local Regal theater a couple times and watch it over the weekend.
Yeah, so a lot of you know that when I went out there and we spoke about me getting doused in the rain because it was a wet Saturday. So I decided to take that time in between the Q&A and the photo ops and talking to everybody from the Clerks crew and Kevin. And I decided, all right, well, they're going to do it at the Atlantic Highlands. Let me check out. Oh, wait, they're playing Doctor Strange. So I had to go see it there. And it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. And then after that, I actually got to see it in another theater locally up by me. And, you know, to start us off, let's go with the synopsis because our initial thoughts are going to come right after that.
Sure. Doctor Strange teams up with a mysterious teenage girl from his dreams who can travel across multiverses to battle multiple threats, including other universe versions of himself, which threaten to wipe out millions across the multiverse. They seek help from Wanda the Scarlet Witch, Wong, and others. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they sought her out, but this is from IMDb.
Yeah,
which is pretty funny.
Kind of. He sought her out at the beginning. And then turned out that she was the bad guy. So, you know, but he didn't know that. So
spoilers. Yeah. She is the bad person in this movie. And for the longest time, we thought that it was going to be something deep and hidden. There might be something deep and hidden later on that made her go to the Darkhold that we don't know of. But this is where we kind of move right into initial thoughts of just how the movie was in present, not our leader thoughts or other notes. So, Steve, give us your thoughts initially after the first two viewings.
I loved it, man. I'm just going to say I loved it. I don't know where I'd rank it. I think, like I said in our brief discussion over the last time you and I talked, you know, I don't know if I'd rank it up, how high I'd rank it up there right now. Maybe once it comes streaming and I can watch it more times and really dissect it again. But it was really, really good. It's super dark, way more dark than we've had in even in the shows, really, I think, and more. A lot of the violence was kind of off screen, but we did have some violence on screen. But I think most of the deaths were off screen, except
not necessarily,
but
we had two major ones.
Yeah, that were on screen. You're right. So, but it was really just very dark. That was when people asked me about it and wanted like a non-spoiler review. I told them it's just super dark. Just be prepared when you go in there. That it is not, you know, I don't know if we've discussed it on this podcast, but they had Sam Raimi as a director. You'll go into more about Sam Raimi, but he's a horror director, and this is described as a horror movie. Even though it's PG-13, it's still described as a horror movie. So
Yeah, it is a PG-13 film. It's not an R-rated horror film. But the thing is, it has the darkness that Sam Raimi could actually bring to a movie. And to me, that is what was needed to some degree, because based upon the story we got, yeah, he brought it and he gave it to us. We got some great music from Danny Elfman, which was amazing. And I'm so glad we got that. A lot of what we got from the story itself was kind of like an amalgam of different stories that we got within the MCU regarding certain characters, and as well as other versions of characters that we've had within the Marvel Comics universe that were brought in, or maybe even the Marvel cartoon universe, because we get that one person that's out there. And it's kind of segued, but they kind of allude to it, but
I mean, we're spoiler full here, man. So you just say what you gotta say.
No, I'll get into it later.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, my first impressions, honestly, with this particular film was definitely a Sam Raimi film. And by far, I loved it as a Sam Raimi film. As far as a Marvel particular or MCU film, it's not in my top 10. I would say it's in my top 20 so far. And mind you, we have close to 30 movies that's going on within the MCU. So my feeling is it's within the top 20 in a sense of how they presented it, how we got it, certain stories. But I still had some issues with it. And I think that had to do with the filming within the pandemic, when they had to do, like with No Way Home, they concentrated more on that. And I think Feige actually did that more so. And then with Doctor Strange, they did a lot of reshoots. So there were a lot of deleted scenes that we didn't get. And there are other scenes that we didn't get that they didn't throw in to add perspective. And I'm not saying I know what they are, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be out there when we do get the digital release and the Blu-ray release. But there was a lot of speculation within this particular film. Like I said, loved it as a Raimi film. I'm about 75% when it comes to an MCU film, and I'm happy with it. But there's a lot of little things that are there to carry it on. So it was a great Doctor Strange 2 movie. When it comes to pushing forward the story arc of where we're going within the MCU, it's kind of a bit vague. But I think that kind of leads up to us going back and rewatching Loki and other films at hand as well, and seeing where they're going to bring this narrative to and who the big bad will be. And I don't think we have a true big bad at this point. The big bad in this particular movie was literally Wanda. And the next person that would be in secondary to the big bad, which is Wanda, would be Doctor Strange himself. And because he created, they blatantly stated during the Illuminati scene that every Strange, there's always a problem. And everyone seems always to use the Darkhold. And they used it. And he used it too.
Yeah.
But the difference is how he trusted into America. And that's what we'll get into our discussions when we talk about this particular movie. So were there any particular highlights or particular points that you have that you loved within the movie itself?
Yeah, I mean, I alluded to it in our discussion of the Moon Knight finale, is that when Patrick Stewart, as soon as I heard his voice, I knew it was Patrick Stewart and I knew it was Professor X. And I gasped. Like I was like, like in the theater like that. And it
Same
was
here.
Because, and I'm sure the only reason I really recognize his voice is because we're just coming off Picard finishing, and he does have a pretty distinctive voice. But I loved the use of those multiverse versions of these characters. You know, we see, I had heard, I think, and we had discussed, we'd heard the rumors, and I think one of the trailers had kind of shown Captain Carter, Haley Atwell playing that part. And so we kind of knew she was going to show up at some point in there. And I didn't know. I was totally surprised about the John Krasinski stuff. I will tell you, I had heard the rumors that he was going to play Mr. Fantastic in something. And I was just like, I don't see that happening. I don't think that'll really happen. And so it really surprised me to see him. And then, of course, we get the alternate Captain Marvel being Monica Rambeau, and we get the other version of Mordo.
No, it's not, was it Monica Rambeau?
I think it was. I didn't look up the actress, but I read somewhere that it was Monica, or was meant to be Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel. So I'm not sure how that universe fit. But, then, of course, they kill all of them, in some really horrific ways, particularly Patrick Stewart, with her just, coming out and breaking his neck right there. Like you said, there were some deaths right there on screen, and like his and John Krasinski's were right in front of us, so it's we didn't see what happened with Captain Carter and the Shield, but we can only assume it looked like the same thing that happened to zombie Captain America in What If, the zombie Captain America was sliced in half with the Shield. So they didn't show us that, but that's what it sure looked like happened there. So yeah, that was probably the biggest highlight, was just getting those cameos of those actors playing those parts and opening the door. I mean, they could do it. They don't have to do it, but it definitely opens the door for the future, other versions of these characters coming out and us seeing them in another future, film or whatever.
Yeah, I had to look it up, and I remember Monica being in WandaVision. And that was the daughter.
Okay, so this was the mother, right?
It's Maria Rambeau.
Maria, okay.
So yeah, just to correct you, just so that way it's like we don't sound like I would honestly I would have made the same mistake.
Okay.
But it's Maria Rambeau.
I had the not wrong name. I knew it was the mother. I knew it wasn't the mother.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me was the Illuminati. And mind you, the Illuminati has been notorious within the Marvel Comics universe for years. Now, mind you, they kind of switched it up within this particular movie with their version of the Illuminati. We got a Professor X, which is great because we got the that little music that we got from the 90s from the cartoon series, and his hover kind of wheelchair, which is kind of alluding to it because we already got Strange going through the cartoon universe, which I think they were kind of regarding. Maybe they pulled him out of that universe and brought him in, and he does that whole thing with his hand to his head and does the whole little thing against Wanda. And then, unfortunately, she dispels him and destroys him. Oh my goodness, that was just so... I was so upset. I was like, no, don't kill him again. But we get him in that as well. We also get a Reed Richards. Now, mind you, in the comic universe, there are multiple versions of Reed Richards throughout the multiverse. So there is a Council of Reeds in the comics. So there's going to be more versions. They don't necessarily have to look like John Krasinski, but if they do, I would love it for the fact that they could bring him back. And whoever they get for Sue Storm would be amazing. I would love for it to be Emily Blunt, his wife. But there's talks about another person playing Sue Storm later on for the Fantastic Four. A lot of things are still up in the air, but we won't know until we get that information. But I loved what we got, and I thought he played a really good directive version of Reed Richards. He wasn't pompous. He knew who he was. He knew what he needed to do, as well as the rest of the people on the Illuminati, as well as Black Bolt, which they made a joke of his name. And I'm not going to go into the name because the name was too long and regarded. But the fact of the way they dispelled him, and it was the same actor from that particular show and
the
movie.
Inhumans. Yeah,
the Inhumans. Yeah. And they gave him the mask that was very much comic accurate, which was like, I kind of respect it, but it doesn't like flow well with like film at times. So I thought, okay, well, he kind of made that like, well, it's like, well, Black Bolt could do this easily with one word and destroy you. What? With what lips? And then, you know, he says something and his head implodes. It was easily dispelled. You know, they literally got rid of the two male characters that were leads in the Illuminati within the first 5 minutes of encountering Wanda, and even Strange had stated that, Wanda is something to be reckoned with, and not him. And I think within this, and then they did a kind of a turn of events where, like, Xavier kind of it's like, well, we don't know what kind of Doctor Strange you are. So he kind of flip-flopped. But I think he saw something in Strange, the Strange that we have in 616, which I'm kind of confused about at this point, too, because, the time that we got 616 actually mentioned was in Far From Home with Jake Gyllenhaal as Mephisto talking to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And that was the only time we referenced it, but now we got Strange's love interest in an alternate universe saying that's actually 616. So is this retconned or is this canon? I don't know. And I'm a bit confused, and I really want somebody in a cinematic universe to, like, really determine that this is the right thing to call it. Our universe,
I think that could be easily explained because we know that the Jake Gyllenhaal character, the
Mephisto.
Was it Mephisto? Okay. Not Mephisto.
Not Mephisto.
Mirage.
Mysterio.
Mysterio.
Sorry.
Mysterio.
I'm getting my names all mixed up.
That he was faking that he was a multiverse version. He actually was our one. So he could have just pulled out 616. I mean, it could be just coincidence that he happened to use the same numbers that she uses. I get your confusion though, because I forgot about that reference in Far From Home, but it would be a little bit confusing, and you kind of would be surprised. I guess what I'm saying is they could explain it as just simple coincidence, or it could be, there could be something to it, because you'd think one of the writers would have picked up on that and said, hey, we've already used 616.
Something to that respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we get some sort of confirmation in a later MCU, or even the show's not on Disney Plus, that somebody actually confirms 616 is our designated universe.
Yeah. Okay.
We got, what was it, 838 or 835 or something like that?
I thought it was, I in my notes I have 858 because that's what I remember. I don't, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
like I said,
and it's weird.
She said it so quick that I didn't really catch it, but definitely they had that she was the one who was numbering the universes and stuff like that. So
I love the fact that we got Haley Atwell as Captain Carter. It's a version of her. I don't think it's the same version that we got from What If. Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel, but I don't think she's as strong as Brie Larson, in the sense that she got kind of pummeled with a statue. So I'm kind of a bit confused with that, but then again, she is human, and if, she caught her off guard, who knows? Maybe that was their way to easily dispel that, saying, all right, well, we got rid of that version, and then we could go with another at a later point.
Yeah, I thought that's an interesting point, because I did think of that in my second watch. I was like, well, shouldn't their powers be pretty equal, because they're both coming from the Infinity Stones. But now, just as you said that, remember, Wanda is, I don't want to say double powered, but she's kind of, because remember, she is the Scarlet Witch. She creates magic. She doesn't need, that's what WandaVision revealed to us, that she creates magic. So that was enhanced by the Infinity Stone. The Infinity Stone.
Because she was already gifted, or they didn't really state it factually within the MCU, as it were. We already know it in the Marvel comic universe, that she is a mutant. And I think they're kind of holding out on this.
Yeah, they didn't use that word, but definitely there's got to be something in there, because I did rewatch WandaVision before going to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness the first time. So I had that kind of fresh in my mind, what Agatha tells her. And Agatha says, you're a mythical being who can create magic out of thin air. You don't need spells. You just do it. You just are. And so that's where the kind of Scarlet Witch power comes from. That's what I'm saying is I think her powers were enhanced, so it gave her that little edge over this version of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, which leads us to her being a Nexus being, because she's in multiverses as her own, as who she is. And we've already seen that with the one version of her that has her kids. And that she took
several versions that have her kids. It's not just one, but that's an interesting thing, because I had this in my notes about the whole Nexus being thing, because I remember back when we were covering WandaVision, I watched a YouTube video where they talked about the comic book version of what Nexus beings are.
All right.
And I think and you've talked about this before, what the MCU is doing is they're changing the definitions of things in the MCU are not going to be exactly the same as what the comic version is, because America, in this case, she kind of fits more of the Nexus being definition from the comic books, because right in the comic books that a Nexus being is a person that exists once. There is no multiple versions of them. They are just correct. They're the only one. And even though I think it's a small sampling, I think that's what they were trying to tell us when she said she's been to 73 other universes and she's never seen a version of her. But then she tacks on that she also never dreams. And so I think they're trying to convince us that whatever, because obviously we have multiple versions of Wanda across the only
infinite worlds,
the multiverses. Now, the only thing they didn't clear up, but I think it has to be, because we did see after Dreamwalking Wanda leaves the body of the woman in the 858 universe, we do see her use magic. Because she definitely is a magic user. Now the question is she also a Scarlet Witch?
Or is she on that same level as
that's
the
what I'm
Scarlet
saying.
Witch? Yeah,
that's what I'm saying is
that's
because,
what I was thinking.
Because you could go with that this version of Wanda is the only one that is a Scarlet Witch. So that would make her a form of a Nexus being from the comic book definition. But again, I think the MCU is going to redefine Nexus being, if they ever use that term at all. Too.
Yeah, they're going to have to, because there are multiple versions of Wanda. There are none of America, as we've gotten to know within this film. Wanda actually did take control over one of her versions, and that version was able to counter effect against herself, meaning that maybe she is able to overthrow herself at certain points, which could create a loop, or one can dominate over another at certain points.
Yeah, I didn't take it that way, because when the second time I watched it, I think I understood the scene better when Professor X goes into her mind and he meets that version of Wanda that's in the rubble. That gets crushed right before she breaks his neck. That's the 858 Wanda being trapped by the 616.
I got that too.
The 616 Wanda. So I think there was no she had no control until 616 left her. Correct. Until Wanda 616 left her body, then she had her control back. So but again, we don't know that, and right now we don't know what the status of our Wanda, the 616 Wanda, we don't know what her status is. Is she dead? Is she alive? Is she going to, rise up from that rubble of the Darkhold? Because, Doctor Strange says that when he sees their Darkhold kind of get destroyed, or that version of the Darkhold, he realizes that when she pulled down that mountain, she destroyed all the versions of the Darkhold across the multiverses. I didn't catch that in the first.
I didn't catch that either. Wow.
I didn't catch that in the first time I watched it, but in the second time I watched it, he specifically says, she's... Now, I don't know how he can know that, but...
Same here.
But he says she's destroyed all the versions of the Darkhold across the multiverse. So I don't know if that mountain they were at is like only exists in one place.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she destroyed it, that destroyed all the copies. I don't know. And like I said, I don't know how he could know that.
Same here.
I did catch that in the second one that he said all the Darkholds in all the multiverses, she's destroyed them all.
Which is fine too, because I think is a little bit funny too as well, because we got Wanda from the 858, and she was able to meet up with that Wanda, our Scarlet Witch.
Oh,
face
yes.
to face.
You're right. Right there at the
so
end.
So they're
America...
in the 858 universe at that point.
I don't know if we know that for sure.
Because how would she be able to get to a multiverse without America Chavez?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's at the end. What happened is what Doctor Strange told her. And this is the way I understand it, and I could be wrong, but that's why Doctor Strange tells her to give Wanda her power, because that opened up Wanda to all the versions of herself. And so I don't know if that one that she encountered, now it might have been the same one that she possessed. It very possibly could be,
because she healed herself, and that's when her kids were getting upset and.
Well, and then she attacked that version, whichever version it was, and that's when she realizes that she had become the monster, and that
she was the monster. Yeah,
and all these
like
other
a big
Wandas, all these other Wandas that have kids should be allowed to have their kids.
Correct.
You know, just because she lost hers doesn't mean they have to lose theirs. You know, and she. So I think, but you could be right. It could have been the same one that she possessed. It would make sense. Because she knows where that one is. But,
correct. She cleaned herself off before she came down to encounter and speak and touch her cheek and understand. And then that Wanda realized, our Wanda, who is the Scarlet Witch, realized everything that she's doing is wrong. And she's like creating even more madness. So, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow and figure out, it's kind of like the Riddler in Batman Forever going, I have so many questions. But there are so many things that are so cool within this particular movie, and I'm sure you're going to point that out as well. We had kind of an allusion to like the zombies within it. And honestly, it's pretty funny how Strange is able to do dream walking within a dead body. Now, this is something that they have done in a Friday the 13th film too. And this was Jason being able to come back. I think it was, I'm going to say, I'm forgetting the name of the movie, but regardless, it's like he could possess a dead body of a Voorhees. So obviously, Doctor Strange could easily possess a body of his own from another dimension or multiverse. And then it doesn't have to be alive. Yeah. And it's kind of alluding to the idea of what we got in What If, which we all love. And I love that particular episode too, because we got Marvel Zombies. And we're going to eventually get that. Whether it's going to be live action or animated, we don't know yet. But it kind of gave us, and a lot of my friends that are like huge Marvel fans were saying, it's like, oh, did you see that commercial? Oh, wow, we get a zombie Strange. Yeah. It's going to be from that particular... I was like, I don't think so. And literally it's what we got, which is him like dream walking, as it were, in his own zombie or dead form. And utilizing the ghosts or demons from the Darkhold that are trying to attack him and then moving in to stop Wanda. And that dead body, which I thought was very much amazing. The key takeaway from that, and Rob and I were talking about this at work. Rob, who was on Panels to Pixels at one point when we talked about the Batman, Rob got into it, and after work, and we were talking, and he stated, and he kind of brought it up, and I realized it after my second watching. Yes, there's a lot of practical effects with Strange in the makeup. Now, that's a Raimi thing. It's kind of more practical, which I do enjoy and I love. But there is some of the element of the CG as well mixed in. So a lot of people are not catered to that, where it's like, oh, I don't want to see Benedict Cumberbatch with all that makeup on his face and than having the CG behind it. But honestly, to me, I liked it and I enjoyed it. Rob did not. But I really did enjoy the fact that we saw him crumbling a little bit more and more during that battle. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I loved the double fake out they kind of gave us from the trailer of the what if they, because I think I came away watching the trailer going, we're getting the zombie Doctor Strange from What If, and we're going to get Strange Supreme from the What If, and it wasn't actually Strange Supreme. I called him in my notes Psycho Strange.
He was Psycho Strange.
He was Psycho Strange because but I thought it was a great fake out that we all thought these were going to be the characters brought in from the What If cartoon, but no, they weren't actually those characters. They were different characters. So
they were different characters.
I loved that fake out there, and that fight between him and between our Doctor Strange and Psycho Strange, or I guess technically it was between our Doctor Strange and Psycho Strange with the whole orchestra and the musical notes being thrown at each other was it was an amazing fight to see, and I thought it was really, really great. And that whole third eye thing that the Psycho Strange had, and we see our Strange having it there at the end. Yeah, we see him twice. I mean, once at the end of the show, and then in the you mentioned the Clea mid-credit scene, we see it again because he opens it up and he says something about "I'm not scared" or something like that, and they do their little crossover thing. So yeah, I love that fake out, and I can't wait to see where they go with this thread. And so
I think they're going to continue on with the saga of Strange and Clea at a certain point. Mm-hmm. And it could be in the Quantiverse, but at this point, we're kind of left in the darkness because we're going to get a bunch of other movies and shows in between. Mm-hmm. So we might get a mid-credit scene with them both in it.
Yeah.
When that whole musical theme went through, that's one of my favorite points within the movie, too, because we have Danny Elfman and his amazing musical expertise and creating something. And it was something out of like a Tim Burton film. And Raimi getting really creative with using the musical notes as power. As a musician, I don't really call myself a musician. I call myself a noisemaker at heart because I like to play music and loud and rock and metal and all that stuff. But to see that live and using musical notes in kind of a sorcerous way against one another was amazing. I loved it, and Danny Elfman was magic within it. That's one of the things that I really, truly enjoyed and loved within the movie.
Let's see. What else have we got that we haven't talked about yet? We haven't talked much about Wong.
Wong. He was my hero in this movie.
he had some great moments. Was it? Correct me if I'm wrong because I don't remember. Have we had it revealed that he is the Sorcerer Supreme?
Yes. Has that been, No Way Home.
Okay, in No Way Home, that's what he.
Yeah, he says that because Strange. He said it, and he goes, "Wait, you're not the Sorcerer Supreme," and that's what Peter says, and he goes, "Yeah, well, when I get dusted for 5 years, that's what happens," and they replace me.
Okay, that makes sense. So
okay. They kind of concluded that, and now Wong is, and that's why he was doing all that stuff with the Abomination and Shang-Chi. Mm-hmm. He was training the Abomination at that point. And I really loved the little kind of side note. It's kind of a quote. It's like, it's customary to actually bow before the, what was it?
The Sorcerer Supreme.
Sorcerer Supreme. And he goes, well, I'm not very customary.
Yeah.
And at the very end, he does do that to Wong, which was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool. And it's showing a lot of respect because at one point, Strange was Sorcerer Supreme. And since he got dusted, he kind of got relieved of that duty. I really did enjoy that. Wong's persistence to climbing up that cliff was amazing. And how he was able to do everything to battle just to get up there. And then, of course, I don't want to know because as soon as he saw Strange, I thought that was a great line too, as well as far as a quote. Yeah, Wong was definitely one that was there. There are a few people that were in where Wong, what do they call it? I'm forgetting. Where they had all sorcerers, and where Wanda had decided to destroy everything.
Oh yeah, Cartao. It's
whatever the land.
The fortress. The fortress where they train the wizards at. Yeah.
So we had a bunch of those people there, but we also had somebody who was like an animal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, one of them looked like an oxen. Now, mind you, in the comics, there is a character that is in there that actually helped raise Wanda's children. And this we brought up in WandaVision when we covered it at one point, Ben and I and a couple of other people. And it's within the lore. So, Mr. Sinister, who is a mutant, was starting to create animals or advancing animals to become more human-like. And one of them was this kind of oxen person, which actually did bring up Wanda's children within the comic book lore, as it were. And then I guess in this case, they made this person more of a sorcerer, which is pretty cool because we have something very different. It's not a human. It's not somebody who's humanoid. And they were in there and they got attacked and unfortunately killed. But we got that visual of that person there, meaning that there's multiple different things out there that could come in and become sorcerer supremes, people of power, things of that nature. So the MCU is starting to broaden a little bit more within Earth, and that would be Earth 616 at this point too. So they're bringing them into that. So it means that there's more to come within 616, and not just all the other multiverses. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I had one which was pretty cool, and this is a Raimi thing. Wanda actually breaks the fourth wall by looking directly into the camera. Did you notice?
No, I didn't. Go ahead.
It's during the time when Scarlet Witch is taking over the Wanda in her universe with her children. And there's a certain key, and you'll see her. She's doing the Raimi-esque jerkiness, and then she just looks right into the camera. And I thought that was something out of Deadpool. And I thought that was awesome. It's kind of breaking that fourth wall, like I know you're watching me.
Yeah. I did notice on my second watch, I caught the Delta in that seat that floating above the street when I watched it the second time. I didn't notice it the first time, and I heard I had a quick blurb from somewhere where they mentioned that the Delta was in there somewhere, and I was like,
the Delta was actually in the very beginning when America Chavez comes into the world in not Chthon. I'm thinking of the Slurpee thing that Wanda sends to attack America, and then Strange exposes it just after the wedding.
Okay.
And he cuts it in half.
Okay.
It's during that specific scene within the city on the road. You do see the Delta flip into the screen at a certain point. That's where I remembered it.
Yeah. Okay.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, and I could be wrong also. I really thought I saw it, but it could be in both spots, so who knows?
Possibly because he loves that Delta.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like more Raimi-ness within it that I do admire, when you see Wanda lurching more as they're trying to get to, it's at that point, it's just before the scene where Strange, America, and Rachel McAdams, her character, they have to use the watch to open up to get the Darkhold. You see Wanda behind possessing the Scarlet Witch possessing the other Wanda from the 858. and she's kind of jerky, kind of giving that kind of Evil Dead walk with the red eyes, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
and that's a kind of a Raimi aspect within it. And of course, we have to talk about one of my favorite things because I am a Raimi fan, Bruce Campbell.
Oh, I love the Bruce Campbell cameo. It was so good.
So we got Bruce Campbell, and he's, what was it?
He was the pizza vendor. He was the pizza ball vendor.
Pizza bowl guy.
Yeah.
I guess, they do have to pay for their pizza bowl. And he had 3 weeks? 3 weeks?
3 weeks,
3 months.
yeah. 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Of hitting himself. So very much like he did in Evil Dead 2, smacking himself around, hitting himself. And then at the very end, we get him saying to the camera, "It's over."
Yeah, that was a great day. I stayed all the way to the end the first time I watched it. I didn't stay all the way to the end the second time, but yeah, that was great to see him stop and look up the camera. So
I think they did something extra, but we probably won't see them in deleted scenes. He did post something that he did on April Fool's. Now, mind you, it could have been, okay, April Fool's, but they did probably film it. And that's him as Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
So he could have, he did an Instagram of somebody doing makeup on him as Doctor Strange. I wouldn't be surprised if Sam actually did that and had Benedict Cumberbatch actually encounter Bruce Campbell as an alternate Strange going, what the hell? A lot of what I like too within it cinematically. Now, mind you, we saw them going through the multiverse, and it was very different in comparison to the first one, the first Doctor Strange film. We kind of got that Inception look in the first Doctor Strange film with the buildings and how they bend and everybody running, and it's like, if you really didn't take your Dramamine, you would actually, get sick watching that particular film in 3D. But with this one, they did it in a sense of them jumping through all the multiverses. Very similar to, almost, I would say similar to Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2. When you saw Rocket and Rooker's character just going through, and their eyes and everything. But they were going through every multiverse at that point.
Yeah, and for me, it reminded me of the What If episode where we saw that with Ultron, where it went through several different multiverses at the same, and they're just lining them up very, very quickly.
Yeah, and the way we actually saw them go through different various forms. There was a cartoon form. There was like some sort of paint world. America says you don't want to eat there because it's very hard to. There's like a whole different versions of them that I really couldn't really calculate how many were there, but the paint one stood out. So did the cartoon one, which made me think of Professor X and where he came from. And then all the others, which were kind of a blip. So it's one of those things where we have to go back and watch the Blu-ray or when we get it on streaming, and just pause it just to see what they have.
Yeah.
Or what extras that they have that they explain each world, as it were. Because I'm really interested in that kind of thing.
Let's see. I think we've got just about everything that I had in my notes.
I have just a couple of notes.
I'm trying to see if there's anything. What was there a tie-in to Loki that I missed? Because I thought I read somewhere there was supposed to be a tie-in to Loki, and I didn't catch anything that would, except for the fact there's multiverses. I didn't really catch anything. My
tie-in to Loki is that I still think Wanda is being controlled by something dark that we don't know of. It's not just the Darkhold. I think somebody was purposely putting that forward for her. And we've already gotten Kang and Loki. And we already know there's multiple versions of Kang and how manipulative he is. I wouldn't be surprised if Kang is the huge big bad that we have to worry about.
Okay.
And in the end. But that's just my perception and my thoughts. As far as with the another Loki aspect, when we talked about Crazy Strange at that point with the third eye, didn't that look like pretty much how Kang or what did they call him?
He who shall not be named.
Exactly.
Something like that, or I can't remember. He who remains. He who remains. That's what it was.
He who remains. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminded me of that, where he was sitting in his mansion or whatever, and you could see everything in the background. That same Strange was in the same aspect of that. So it kind of gave me the feeling of like he was manipulating something that person was manipulating in multiverse versions. And I think he probably tried to manipulate that. But honestly, I'm just a fan just looking at this and from comics perspective as well as the MCU perspective. And I'm accepting and I love what we got. Am I in love with the particular movie? I'm glad we got what we got because I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's in my top 20, not my top 10. But as far as like a Raimi film, it's right up there because it hit every aspect of a Raimi film for me.
Really good. I think that's everything. Really, the only other, just some really quick things that I had that I did notice on the second watch, the first time we see Wanda, that the WandaVision theme is playing in the background. I thought that was cool. And I don't think it's anything to really talk too much about or comment, but I seem to notice a lot of shots of the full moon in the second watch. It seemed like they showed the full moon a lot, and I don't think there's anything to be read into that. I think it was just a point of maybe that it was all in one night or something. I don't know.
Well, my feeling also too is just to add on a last note. Don't think of the Illuminati being done. I think that was just one version of the Illuminati. Because in the original comics, it was like Submariner, Reed Richards, Iron Man, Black Panther, a variety of different, and it kind of went in and out. So I don't think this is the last that we're going to see of an Illuminati. I think that was just one version of it within that particular universe. And mind you, universes could expand so large, and they all could collide at certain points. And I wouldn't be surprised at, in another 5 or 6 years, we have something where all those universes do collide to some respect. And we're going to have multiple versions of different characters, or the same characters that we have. Which would be interesting, but whether or not that happens, I don't know. You know, we could easily get a Skrull war, or the invasion that we're promised to by the Skrulls, too. Because they do look like other people. So, but with that, those are my thoughts. And if not, I'm just gonna be like, I'm just gonna keep on speculating and elaborating, and it won't make any sense. But
that's all I had for me. I said, I loved it. I'll put it up there. It's definitely in my top 10. I don't know if it's in my top 5, but it's definitely up there for me. I really, really enjoyed it and can't wait to watch it again.
Definitely in my top 20. I can't say top 10. Top 10, I have to savor that for like Guardians of the Galaxy, the original one, Shang-Chi, Black Panther, Endgame. Incredible Hulk is there for me. A lot of people don't like it. Definitely Iron Man. There's a whole bunch of them because you have to realize how many movies we do have in the MCU. And I just go to the ones that I just go to watch because I love them so much, and I'll just go back and watch them over and over again. Or just put them on because it puts me to sleep because I love them. But yeah, I definitely would put this in the top 20 because as we get older, we're going to have more of these movies. And then eventually it's going to be like, oh, that's in my top 50. Yeah. But we haven't gotten there yet. We're probably going to be in the 30s soon, I would say. But, well, with that, we're going to move right along. And we did get feedback because we did cover Moon Knight. And Lara had sent in some audio feedback, and we're going to share that now. And this is what Lara has to say.
Good evening, Mark and Steve. It's Lara. I am waiting to the 11th hour to send you feedback, the same way that Moon Knight waited to the very last minute to reveal Jake Lockley to the rest of us. here's a few random thoughts on the episode. I thought it was incredible. This is by far, in my opinion, the best series on Disney Plus so far. In fact, I like it a lot more than a few of the Marvel movies. It was really good. Oscar Isaac gave amazing performances that are definitely award worthy. And here are a few of my notes on the finale. I absolutely loved Layla's avatar costume. It was reminiscent of Wonder Woman 1984 with the gold wings and everything. But I think since her wings aren't so big, they're just kind of close. And to her body, she can fly closer to the ground and a little bit faster, kind of like Wasp from Ant-Man and the Wasp. But she for sure has the best costume in the Marvel Universe, in my opinion. It looks like Mark Spector's greatest foe in any upcoming series or movie is going to be himself. That final end credit scene was spectacular, and I don't think if you saw it that you got the entire scope of the entire series. But yeah, he's got a killer inside of him, and any future content created is going to have to be he and Steven confronting Jake. Mr. Knight has a second job now as the negotiator of the bunch, but I think maybe he should have been a little more careful in negotiating with Khonshu, because Khonshu tells Steven that he releases both of them from his service, but he's kind of keeping a little secret on the back burner that I think neither of them expect. When Amit is eating the souls of the people in Cairo and getting bigger, all I could think of was Godzilla! I was expecting her to start stomping through Cairo and destroying everything. So, it is not Khonshu that resurrects Steven and Mark, but it's Osiris. Because I noticed that it was them walking through the gates of Osiris, who became a big softie in the end and let them pass through, that resurrected them. Which makes sense, because I believe that Osiris is supposed to be the Egyptian god of resurrections. So that makes sense.
Correct.
And then, of course, Khonshu heals them, and they're all A+ again. That's all I had to say, except that I do think that in that last scene where we had Mark and Steven go back to Dr. Harrow's office, and then they start to realize that this is just another illusion in their head, and that Dr. Harrow is not real. As he starts walking away with the bloody footprints, I think we get a little bit of Jake there when he's talking to Harrow, and he's like, yeah, I don't think so, Doc, because I think that New Yorker accent comes back. And I think a lot of people believe that because Jake, when he's revealed, speaks Spanish, that it can't be the same Jake with the New York City accent. But hey, take a look at Oscar Isaac. He's bilingual. He has a perfectly fine, undetectable American accent. I mean, from whatever region of the country he grew up in, which I believe is Miami. But, you know, he also speaks Spanish. So why couldn't Jake have a New York accent and also be bilingual and speak Spanish? Anyhow, I think that is it. Wraps it up for the series or season. I'm hoping the season, because we really, really need a season 2. There is so much more content to dive into. But until then, can't wait for the next show. Have a good night. Later, skaters.
After a while, Crocodile.
Thank you, Lara, for that.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Definitely with Oscar Isaac's accent, and yeah, that was definitely Jake at the very end, and he was there inside their head as well. I think that wasn't really acknowledged in any way, but honestly, if they want to fix this up, they could easily do it in between certain movies or within Disney Plus series, and bring in Moon Knight at certain points as a kind of like a secondary. But whether or not they actually decide to put that money into that is their choice. I would just love to see more. And if they do a second season, I would love to see that as well. That would make more sense, in my opinion. But we'll see. We're getting a Werewolf by Night show, supposedly. So if that happens, that was the first appearance of Moon Knight as we actually mentioned during the podcast. So hopefully we do get more of Moon Knight within that, whether it be Jake Lockley, or Mark Spector, or Stephen Grant. I would love to see that, and that way we can continue that particular story. But we won't know. We'll have to see. We have to wait.
We did get a mention on our Instagram page, Mark, the guys that you did your Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash anniversary podcast with are Two Key Geeks on Instagram. They reposted our post about the show and recommended people to check out our podcast. So I definitely want to say check out Two Key Geeks on Instagram. That's the number 2, and then the word spelled out, Key Geeks.
Yes, I have to actually thank Daniel and Ben Elmore for being on, as well as Carrie. So thank you guys for being on, and please, all you listeners that are interested in their stuff, go to the actual notes from that particular podcast, check them out, go to their Instagram, go to their Facebook page, check them out, and listen to their stuff. It's pretty fun. I have no comic news this week, no podcast recommendations because, honestly, I've been kind of busy podcasting. It's really weird. I have like 3 in a can for Adrenaline Cinema podcast, and I was on Fantasy Picks Movie Edition with Rob and my friend Zach, and we were talking about Phantom Menace. So by the time you get this, it might be about a week or so, or maybe at the same time that they actually put it up. But check me out on Fantasy Picks Movie Edition, and check out Adrenaline Cinema Podcast when you can, because that's where else you could also hear me on the Pirate Car Entertainment Network. So the next episode up, definitely on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, is Army of Darkness, and that's with my friend Jamie Dimmick and Damien Vitale, and we're talking about Army of Darkness.
Very cool. Yeah, I don't have any recommendations. I've just been getting ready for my vacation, so.
Awesome. And we're prepping, too, for The Boys to come out on the 3rd.
Yes, so by the time, I'm not sure, but I will be, as I just mentioned, I will be going on an extended vacation. When I come back, 3 episodes of The Boys will have dropped on Amazon Prime, so hopefully we can cover...
I might have a couple of guests maybe fill in for you by that point.
If that's what you want to do, you're more than welcome to do that. So.
I might have our friend Jamie, because she's been catching up on The Boys.
Okay. Yeah.
So then you could just jump in whenever you're ready, and we could start from there.
Absolutely.
If not, we'll take from the fans. Who do you want to hear? Who do you want to come back? But anyhow, we will bring back us back weekly, so that we have something for you weekly, as it were. I'm trying to keep that true to the content that we're doing. So at least if Steve's not there, somebody else will be on with me, and who does love what we're doing. And then when Steve is back and ready, he's going to be back in rare form and telling us everything that he was left out on.
Yeah, we have got a lot of stuff coming up. I mean, you reposted the She-Hulk trailer, which is dropping in August. We've got Thor: Love and Thunder coming up in June as well. So we have got a lot of stuff. The Boys is coming back. Umbrella Academy is coming back. Invincible is coming back. It's
a lot of podcasting, my friends.
Yeah.
So hence why I've been doubling up on Adrenaline. And I think Steve and I have to do Predator soon.
Yeah, I've been catching up on some of the Predator movies because I'm a fan of those, and of course Hulu is releasing the new Prey, which is a prequel to the Predator movies. So that'll be interesting to see.
It actually is based on a comic that they did years ago, and it's something that I highly recommend. All right, well, with that, to submit your feedback, like everybody else has. We can be heard on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, or whatever podcast player of choice that you use. If ratings are available, please, if it's Apple Podcasts, do so. We will greatly appreciate it. And just give us a rating on that. You could go to our website, which would be panelstopixelspodcast.com. Currently under construction, but it will be up by the end of July. I promise you. Check out us on Facebook, which we kind of like to put up at least a teaser of what we're going to be covering week by week. So obviously when The Boys comes out or Thor Love and Thunder comes out, we'll put up a picture and we want you to submit your feedback in the image below. So that way we can read them on the actual podcast itself as we're recording. We are on Twitter, and that would be at Panels to Pixels. And Steve?
We also have an email address that we would love to hear from you. You can send us a voicemail just like Laura did, and that is panels2pixels1@gmail.com. That's panels2pixels1, the 2 spelled out right there in the middle, TO, and the number 1@gmail.com. We are on YouTube at Panels2Pixels Podcast there. You can subscribe, give us a thumbs up, whatever. And as I mentioned before, we are on Instagram, and our Instagram handle is Panels2Pixels Podcast, all spelled out in words, Panels2Pixels Podcast on Instagram.
Awesome. And we also like to recommend everybody to check out all the other podcasts on the Next Level Podcast Radio. Well, it's supposed to be the Next Level Radio Podcast Network. We highly recommend Wilhelm, which has been The Melting Pat, Podcast Zero, and so much more. So just go to nextlevelradioonline.com and check all of them out there. There are links there. You could easily go to their Facebook pages, or you just go straight to their streaming platforms, or just go straight to the platform that you're actually listening to us on and just do a search, and you'll be able to listen to them as well. So coming up next...
That's me. I'm heading, as I've already mentioned, I'm kind of heading on an extended vacation. So whatever Mark has got to fill in for the next few weeks, or we may just, whatever you've got planned.
Next we'll figure it out.
Next up for us
we'll play
will be
ear
The
by
Boys.
ear.
Yeah. Next up for us, though, as I said, will be The Boys Season 3. And we've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot for us to cover this summer. So it's going to be the summer of fun. And I'm hoping you guys are going to have some fun this summer too. Because now we could actually get out and do some stuff every once in a while and have a good time. But while you're in your travels, you could actually listen to us, which I like. So where else can listeners hear us? I already mentioned myself, Steve. So where can people hear you?
When I get the chance, and I've been so busy, really, I just haven't. But I do send a lot of voicemails to podcasts that our friends do. I just sent one to Run for Your Lives podcast on a couple of the movies they're doing. I've been trying to follow how Podcastica's What the F is From with Alex and Lizzie. They're doing a great job covering the TV show From on there. But I send voicemails to various podcasts, so you hear my voice pop up in different places.
So with that, this is our show, and I just want to thank everybody for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixel Podcast, and we'll see you on the next panel. Good night, everybody.
Good night.